The News 4 Rundown starts now.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jim Handley. It's Tuesday, August 18th, and here's a look at some of the stories we're following for you tonight. Coming up, back to school shopping well underway as many students are now returning to the classroom. A new survey takes a look at how expensive it can be to have all the necessary supplies. Plus, are you willing to pay more for your plane ticket if it means you get a new airport? Tonight, we have a better understanding of how much renovations to Dulles International will cost and how long it will take. Then a sit-down conversation with media mogul Kathy Hughes. More on her legacy of transforming the media landscape and her connection to a member of our NBC4 team. But first tonight, 6 members of the Metropolitan Police Department arrested and in custody now, accused of defrauding D.C. taxpayers. According to prosecutors, they received nearly $500,000 in overtime pay for hours they did not work. Our News 4 I-Team reporter Ted Oberg has late-breaking details. Ted?
Has to be a tough first few hours in custody for all of them, doesn't it? Investigators say all 5 of these officers and their civilian counterpart worked in D.C.'s 5th District in Northeast D.C. All of this taking place allegedly in 2024. It's when they put in allegedly for $441,000 in overtime. Prosecutors say they just didn't work at all. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, the group at times claimed they earned overtime while they were in actuality traveling around the United States, some internationally. Some put in for this overtime while they were already on vacation. They allegedly forged their supervisor's signatures on authorization forms or used their administrative position to facilitate the approval. All 6 of them have been charged by the U.S. Attorney in D.C. court with first-degree fraud and theft. 3 of the 6 have since retired before they were charged today. The case was investigated in part by the D.C. Attorney General's office, where Brian Schwab told us today these 6 officers abused their positions of power, exploiting the district and the residents they took an oath to serve and protect. No one is above the law, Schwab said, especially those trusted with enforcing it. And then look at how much prosecutors allege was stolen. This is just the top 3. That top one is a former sergeant and then 2 officers below. They each allegedly stole more than 1,000 hours in overtime pay. That's nearly 6 months of work in a normal job. That top one allegedly stole $175,000, more than 1,800 overtime hours. None of them have lawyers listed in court documents, by the way. Citing the ongoing investigation, D.C. police had no comment for us, and the D.C. Police Union did not reply to our emailed request for comment. Jim?
Ted, thank you. Other stories we're following for you tonight. Lawyers for the former Olympian accused of vandalizing the reflecting pool are trying to make sure the Department of Justice can't bring the case again in the future. U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro dropped the felony charges against David Hearn after determining there was not enough evidence that he vandalized the pool. Hearn's attorneys are asking a judge to get the case dismissed with prejudice, so the DOJ can't bring any future charges. Repair crews are back at the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool today, respraying the bottom after major damage was discovered. You can see the pool liner there is ripped up in several places. Now crews are making a second attempt to fix the pool just months after a major renovation project that began in April. The woman accused of live streaming herself spray painting the World War II memorial was back in court today. Today's hearing was centered around whether Melissa Ferris could get her phone back. The government still has it and argued that it needs more time to properly search the device. The judge gave the government until tomorrow to review the phone's contents or to justify why it needs more time. There's a major new development today that could impact the Commanders' new stadium and the surrounding neighborhood. The National Park Service is proposing giving the D.C. government control over the D.C. Armory campus. This comes as the National Guard has confirmed plans to move out of the 85-year-old facility. News 4's Mark Seagraves takes us through what we know about the proposal and how this site could become one of the most valuable pieces of property in all of D.C.
The D.C. Armory has stood here on East Capitol Street for more than 85 years. Since 1941, it's been the home to the D.C. National Guard. But the Guard has confirmed plans to relocate due to the stadium construction. The nearly 10-acre site is owned by the federal government. Last week, the National Park Service filed this notice with the National Capital Planning Commission of plans to transfer jurisdiction of the land to the D.C. government. The deal would be much like how the feds transferred the 174 acres of the RFK Stadium site right across the street from the Armory to D.C. The proposal was first reported by the Washington Business Journal. The Armory has hosted everything from sporting events to presidential galas, and recently was used by the FBI during the America 250 celebration. While the building is not on the historic register, whether or not it could be taken down is unknown. A spokesperson for the Bowser administration tells News4 the proposal from the federal government requires the building remain intact. The National Capital Planning Commission would need to grant further approval for demolishing the building. A spokesperson for the mayor's RFK Project Management Office tells News4 the proposed transfer is a first step. This step would ensure the district can determine how this site can best serve district residents and surrounding communities in a comprehensive plan. Any future use of the Armory site will require additional planning and review, including an environmental assessment and opportunities for public engagement and feedback. These processes will help inform the district's decision about the site and its role within the larger RFK campus. If approved, the federal government would still own the land, but the D.C. government would have control of developing it. It's not clear if the federal government would place any restrictions on the use of the property. The 9.5-acre site is prime real estate, with a metro station at its doorstep and about as close as you can get to the new stadium. From what is likely to become one of the hottest pieces of real estate in the district, the D.C. Armory. Mark Seagraves, News 4.
The National Capital Planning Commission is set to take up the proposed transfer at its meeting September 3rd. If approved, the transfer could be completed before the end of the year. We're also getting a better understanding tonight of how much it'll cost to renovate Dulles International Airport. And it could mean you'll be paying more for your plane ticket. News 4 transportation reporter Adam Tuss is looking over some new documents that were just released.
All right, so by now you may have seen some of the renderings of what Dulles International Airport could turn into. This rendering, we've got this one over here, all shiny new objects. But for the first time, the Airports Authority is putting out some concrete plans. We're learning about timeline and how much all of this could cost you.
The plans to change Dulles are becoming very real. President Trump has made his feelings known.
Now, this is all about the Dulles Airport remodeling. It's considered one of the worst airports anywhere in the world. We're going to make it maybe the best.
And now the Airports Authority laying out a plan for construction, most notably hoping to have work start next year to significantly expand the main iconic terminal with a dedicated walkable connection straight to a fully renovated A and B concourse. Traveler Bola Abudasin, on his way to Nigeria, says he loves Dulles, but upgrades are welcome.
It just reminds me of the Paris airport. It's almost about the same with the structure, but a new thing will always be good.
Trish from Percival also on board with the plans.
It really is in need of the extra terminal.
Now, the Airports Authority also laying out some costs here, about $20 billion to make it all happen. And sources are telling News 4 something known as CPE, or cost per enplanement, are expected to rise to help fund the project, although exact figures aren't known. Put even more simply, the price you pay to fly out of Dulles could go up. Traveler Akash, headed to India, doesn't like the idea of his plane ticket going up.
Definitely not. I'm not going to pay for that. I don't want to pay for that. Of course, it's taxpayers' money, so no.
Now, the Airports Authority also expecting millions more passengers to use Dulles, which could help offset some higher ticket prices. As for the full build-out here, it's expected to stretch until the late 2030s. At Dulles International, Adam Tuss, News 4.
The Airports Authority Board is set to meet tomorrow to talk about this plan. We'll be following the meeting and we'll bring you the very latest. The Commanders were back on the practice field today. Team insider J.P. Finley will let us know Jaden Daniels' chances for playing in Saturday's preseason game.
And we saw a pretty good day out there today. High of 89. I think we get there again tomorrow, but looking pretty good. This, however, this area of severe weather is making its way in for Thursday. I'll show you what it means and what it could mean for the rest of the week and your weekend. Coming up.
Well, as you know, it's that time of year again at Bowie State University. Today is On the Move Day. The incoming freshman class spent yesterday and today moving into their new dorm rooms. Returning and graduate students will move in Thursday and Friday. Now, the new students will have the weekend to get acclimated to their new school. Classes officially start for the 2026 fall semester on Monday, August 24th. With back to school in full swing, the National Retail Federation is projecting that Americans will spend a record $43 billion overall on everything from tech and clothing to school supplies for K through 12th grade students. That's up about $4 billion from last school year. The new survey, which was released today, found 32% of people plan to buy secondhand or refurbished back-to-school items. That's up slightly over the last year. It also found 48% of purchases are driven by sales and promotions. And AI is playing a part in how consumers are snagging the deals.
They're not just clicking around on websites. They're using AI as an assistant to find what they need, see where they should go to find it, and also hunt down the best deals.
The National Retail Federation says consumers have been spreading out their purchases, and some plan to do some last-minute shopping. Surprise, surprise. Well, that brings us to today's poll question. We want to hear from you. How much do you spend on back-to-school shopping? You can weigh in on the conversation by heading to NBCWashington.com/vote. Doug joins us now. Yeah, it's that time of year. You start to see one school after another, but Labor Day is not far away.
No, we're like 3 weeks away, and that means most of our area will be back in school in about 3 weeks. So get ready. You know what else that means?
What?
Fall weather starting to move in. Not tonight, though. Not today, although it's a beautiful evening. Look at the highs today, though. 89 degrees, definitely still summer-like. Still very humid earlier today. The heat index was into the low 90s. But up to the north, we already saw lower humidity, so it was quite nice. Areas like Hagerstown, only 83, 85 in Martinsburg, so great weather there. But 89 down towards Quantico. Heat index, once again, into the low to mid-90s. Nothing out there right now. A pretty nice evening. 86 degrees, but feels like 88. Now, notice the dew point. That has actually been coming down throughout the afternoon, making for a much more pleasant evening than it was earlier today. Temperatures right now, 82 Gaithersburg, 81 in Hagerstown, 82 in Leesburg. So some really nice numbers. 77 Patuxent River. That's because that's the area that has seen rain. That rain is now out of here, but we did see some rain down towards the parts of southern Maryland. Nothing out there right now. We're not going to see any for the night tonight, and we're not going to see any rain tomorrow. This is the air today. This is the air for tomorrow around Cincinnati. Great day there. And then back towards Chicago, that's what's coming in, this storm, on Thursday. So we'll be watching that track across the country in towards our area during the day on Thursday. But tomorrow, out ahead of it, we get on the warm side, temperatures in the upper 80s, close to 90. I don't think we get there, but humidity shouldn't be that big of a factor. But look at all the sunshine. So great tomorrow. This is tomorrow evening, another very nice night. But as we work into the day on Thursday, look at the chance for showers coming through early in the day. And then again, as we work on through the midday hours, still some more shower activity. So I do think we see periods of rain during the day on Thursday. One thing I'm not anticipating, a whole lot in the way of severe weather. So that's good news. Now tomorrow, more good news. Warm, but not too humid. Going for a high temperature tomorrow in the upper 80s to around 90, starting off in the 70s in the city. Most of you, though, starting off in the 60s. So a pretty good start to your Wednesday. Next few days, 86 on Thursday. That's when the rain chances move back in. Good chance of rain on Thursday. Friday, a little bit less of a chance, but it's still there. And then Saturday, looking a little bit better. We're watching Saturday, better chance of rain, that is. Watching Saturday, how much rain will we get? Saturday and Sunday could be a little bit on the wet side. I do expect more rain on Saturday. Early next week, looking great. Look at next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Wow.
We'll take it, Doug. Thank you. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser recently presented media mogul and Urban One founder Kathy Hughes with the key to the city. Hughes, the first black woman to chair a publicly held corporation, came to Washington more than 50 years ago. She built the largest black-owned multimedia company in the country. Our Sean Yancey sat down with her to talk about her extraordinary legacy transforming the media landscape and Sean's connection to Kathy's family.
I went into business to amplify the voice of the black community. I was determined I would take the mute button off of us.
And for nearly 5 decades, Kathy Hughes has done exactly that. From radio stations to television networks, including TV One and Clio TV, Hughes created platforms where Black stories, culture, and perspectives could be told by the people who live them.
The last key to the city that I will give is to our friend, Kathy Hughes.
Hughes arrived in Washington more than 50 years ago and began building her legacy at Howard University's WHUR. There, she worked with student DJ Melvin Lindsay to create The Quiet Storm, a late-night format that changed radio.
The Quiet Storm here at WHUR Radio.
Named after Smokey Robinson's hit song, The Quiet Storm became one of the most successful radio formats in broadcasting history. But Hughes said success was never her original destination.
So when I hear all these titles that I've gone through, I feel very blessed. I feel that it was never a Kathy Hughes plan. It was always a commitment on my part to be obedient, to maximize any opportunity I saw that would help my community.
That commitment to service took shape years earlier. Hughes was just 17 when she became a mother.
I was so worried that I wouldn't be able to be a successful mother because when they put that baby in my arms, I was a baby myself, basically, but for the first time, I could think beyond myself. It was almost like a charge went through me. I realized I had purpose, I had responsibility, and I wanted to make that baby proud of me, but more importantly, I also wanted to be proud of that baby.
That sense of purpose and responsibility for her son, Alfred Liggins III, who now serves as the president and CEO of Urban One, would shape every decision that followed.
We are now the largest Black-owned cable company in the United States.
From programming to ownership, in 1980, Hughes purchased WOL-AM in Washington. The station became the foundation of Radio One. It's here she pioneered a format centered on Black news, information, and empowerment, guided by the message, information is power.
Good morning, you're on WOL in Washington, D.C.
I think that that's crazy for us to be begging white-owned media to tell our stories. We have to own our own media to tell our own stories. We have to identify what's important.
That philosophy became the foundation of Urban One. What began as a single Washington, D.C. radio station is now one of the largest Black-owned multimedia companies in America.
Proud and grateful to the individuals in this community who embraced my concept, my idea, and supported me, and took it national.
And your lifelong commitment to Washington, D.C.
That community was and still is D.C.
D.C. is so important in terms of establishing culture, so important in establishing legacy.
During our conversation, we discovered we shared a number of bonds. Not only are we sorority sisters, but we were both born at the same hospital in Omaha, Nebraska, and we both adored a woman named Tessie Edwards.
I want to ask you if you know who this woman is.
Tessie Edwards.
It's my great aunt.
No. Oh my goodness, I can't believe this.
Long before Kathy Hughes changed the media landscape, my great aunt Tessie helped shape hers. Tessie was a civil rights activist, educator, and a friend of Kathy's parents. Every Sunday, she visited with Kathy's family.
Miss Edwards would come, and my mother would always make her a banana pudding. That was her favorite. Banana pudding was her favorite, and I have to honestly say that it always went well when she arrived. She always kissed and hugged us.
In between the hugs and banana pudding, my aunt helped Kathy and her siblings with their school lessons.
I owe a lot to your family because Tessie, she actually was tutoring us, and we didn't know the term tutoring then. This is a woman where I know how to read, write, and count. My mother had us in private schools, and unfortunately, we were often the only little black dots in those schools, and Tessie, being an educator, realized that we needed to be better than our classmates. We needed to be better prepared. We needed to know more. We needed to be engaged.
Hughes grew up surrounded by adults like my aunt who poured into her and encouraged her to think. It was those early lessons that became the blueprint for Hughes's extraordinary life.
I was witness to older adults helping young adults and children achieve their goals, opening doors of opportunity for them, amplifying their voices, encouraging them not just to talk, but to think and talk.
From a young mother who discovered her purpose to a media pioneer who created opportunities for generations of journalists, entrepreneurs, and artists, Kathy Hughes' legacy has deep roots here in Washington, D.C., building platforms that amplified Black voices, preserved Black culture, and changed the landscape of American media.
Media is my calling. Service is my mission. And empowering my people is my passion.
I feel that oftentimes we're not understanding the fact that part of our lack of progress that we complain about is because we have not assumed the responsibility to be in charge of that destiny of ourselves and our people. That's why I chose the media, because I wanted the biggest boombox, the biggest voice, the biggest picture, the biggest opportunity to express who we really are.
All right, the Commanders were back out on the practice field today, getting ready for the preseason game number 2. As team insider J.P. Finley reports from Ashburn, an important part of the offense rejoined the group, while questions still remain on Jaden Daniels' playing status for this weekend.
After a few off days following Friday night's game against the Miami Dolphins, Commanders are back on the practice field. And now all eyes turn to Detroit, where Washington is going to play their second preseason game on Saturday. The biggest question, who's going to be on the field? And that starts with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, we haven't decided in terms of, like, will we or won't we. We had a joint last week. He got a lot of reps. He'll get a lot today and tomorrow going against our defense, so I'll have a better sense for where everybody is before we make any of those decisions. But he's thrown like an incredible training camp. His accuracy, his command of it, a new system, you wouldn't feel like that for him. But I've been certainly impressed by what I've seen so far by him.
I think the confidence that he has in himself, his cadence has improved a ton, which is awesome. I think that's a huge skill that we can use as an offense. I don't want to say it's more comfortable, because I think he's always been comfortable in his position, but definitely more confident. Expects more of not only himself, but willing to ask more of the guys around him, which is another huge step for a quarterback to lead an offense. So he's been doing a great job.
That fellow you just saw is Nick Allegretti, the Commanders' starting center. He's missed about the last 2 weeks dealing with a calf injury, but he's back on the practice field. This is a big deal because Allegretti and Jaden Daniels need to work together, as Allegretti's got to snap him the ball as well as call the line protection.
How did it feel to be back out there finally?
Awesome. I mean, just being in the training room while training camp going on, never something you want. Tough watching the boys go out there and battle in the heat and everything, and not being out with them. So awesome to be out there today.
I mean, it brings experience. He's played in the Super Bowl. He's been a part of Super Bowls. The guy is very, very intelligent. And it's just nice to have him out there, because he's also a pretty funny guy when you get to know him.
I think if Jaden Daniels plays will be determined by if Nick Allegretti plays Saturday against Detroit. As for today's practice, it got a little heated late. Javonte Jean-Baptiste and Charles Omenihu had to be separated. Unclear exactly who was mad about what, but they were certainly mad. Covering the Commanders in Ashburn, I'm J.P. Finley.
Little preseason drama. JP, thank you. That's going to do it for the News 4 Rundown for this Tuesday night. Be sure to join us right back here tonight for News 4 at 11. For now, I'm Jim Adley. Have a great night, everybody.